Hey y'all, how's it going? It's me, Amanda Gold, and today is time for your weekly TIT. It's your Try It Tuesday. And this is when I come at you with an exercise or a practice that you can try for a week. That's the suggestion. Try it once for a day if you're feeling like you need an even smaller baby step. But this is where I invite you to take an action that's going to serve you or move you forward. And then share how it goes and try it out in your own life and see if it's helpful or not. And today is a really special day because I was feeling kind of stuck as to what to teach. And I realized, why not go to the tarot to inspire me to pick something for you, because I'm incorporating tarot into my coaching sessions. And so I pulled a card for y'all after ruminating and thinking about this. And what came up was the Nine of Swords. And so what I've decided to share with you today is how to let go of shame and how to work with shame so that you can keep moving forward in your life and in your goals and feel better. Because shame is one of those burly things that we get stuck in, and that really prevents us from making progress. It just feels like shit. And so I've got a Try It Tuesday that will help you move out of that. And I've got a special challenge for helping you expose yourself more. Speaking of the weekly tit. But no, I'm challenging you to move out of the closet a little bit with whatever gifts you've been hiding from the world out of shame. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But first, I just want to let you know that I am on fire with the coaching thing. And I want to invite you to get in on a consultation and see if we're a fit to work together, because I only have limited availability for my one-on-one coaching situations. So if you feel like you want a coach who's going to lovingly kick your ass so that you can kick ass with both feet, come and see what I'm about. Let's see if we can work together. I would love to meet you and find out if we're a good fit. You can send me an email at amandagoldmakesart@gmail.com. In the meantime, on to your free weekly TIT. Try It Tuesday. So, Nine of Swords. It looks really dismal, right? Like she looks like she's suffering. This person looks like they're suffering. I'm trying to take gender out of this because that's old-fashioned. This person is struggling. Maybe it's nighttime and they can't sleep. Swords are about the mind. So a lot of this is about suffering coming from our thoughts, from memories, from just the shit that is going through our heads over and over and over again. Nines are also about action. So I thought this would be cool to talk about what is a thought that creates a really shitty feeling, shame. How do we move out of shame by looking at our thoughts? How do we take action to get out of shame? That's what I want to look at. Because if we've got a barrier of shame, this was so appropriate too. I love how tarot works because I was already thinking about this a lot for folks. I've been coaching a lot already this week, and it just keeps coming up. This underneath all this other stuff, it always comes down to like shame somehow. Like I'm ashamed of how I'm feeling. I'm ashamed of what I'm doing. I'm ashamed that other people would think this and all that. And I know that feeling so well because as a recovering addict and alcoholic, I like lived in shame for many, many years. And that was one of the fears I had about getting sober, was it was like, if I don't have some kind of way to numb myself, I'm just going to be in so much shame and self-loathing that I don't think I can bear it. The good news is I can bear it. There's support, there's coaching, there's so many ways for me to manage my mind today that I can feel good and move forward. But I really know that feeling, and I know how really useless it is. It's useful in the sense that it keeps us stuck, and maybe that is our brain's way. Well, that's definitely a way that our brain has of trying to keep us safe. But it's misguided because a safe, quote unquote, small life also causes its own misery. And it's a misery that I believe is actually greater than facing our fears and moving forward and taking action and taking risks and things like that. So that's what I'm about, and that's what I want to help you with today. So the challenge is, I just want you to consider, first of all, try on the premise that shame is actually useless. And as someone in recovery, I've worked the steps many times. I'm very big on rigorous honesty and looking at my part in things. I mean, the program that I'm part of, AA, it's all about like disregarding the other people's part completely, even if there was abuse, even if there was 99% of what they did was super fucked up and I was totally justified in whatever. I still am taught to just push that aside and look at my part. I'm cleaning my side of the street. But there is nothing about shame there. So when I'm saying like let go of shame or consider that it's useless, I'm not saying like not to have a conscience, not to care if you mess up or make a mistake or do something that causes harm to someone. There are healthy ways to look at that, own that, apologize, make amends, whatever. That's different. Shame, you've probably heard the difference between guilt and shame. I think Brene Brown has talked about this a lot, but this is just the concept. Like, guilt is something we've done wrong, and shame is the idea that I am wrong. So that's why I think it's useless, because it's like, it's so disempowering, it's so hopeless. Like, and frankly, it's just not true. Like, I don't think that we're here as fundamentally flawed creatures. Like, I think we're fundamentally good, and the problem is that we don't believe in our own worth and our own value, and then we create all kinds of situations that reflect and reinforce that. So I want to invite you today, for today's Try It Tuesday, to first of all accept, at least try on this idea that if you're feeling shame about anything, yourself, your thoughts, what you've done, just try to let that go and appreciate that that's not helpful. That's such a good phrase that I tell myself a lot. If I hear a negative thought, my brain says something nasty to me, like, well, you're a piece of shit, or you should be so ashamed of yourself, I just say, that's not helpful. And then I try to think of something that would be more helpful. So try that on. And then this is like a two-parter. And then I want you to get curious about, where are you in shame? Because what I'm noticing with my clients lately is that it's kind of insidious. It's kind of hidden. We don't think we're outright shaming ourselves about anything. But when I dig with people and we uncover things together, I find out that they're shaming themselves for thoughts they're having, or for time wasted, or for things they haven't figured out yet, for basically being human, right? And having a human mind. For not having all the answers, for feeling like they did something not the right way when they did the best they could. So I want to invite you to just notice if there's a place that you're holding yourself in shame, if you're shaming yourself about something. And it might seem innocuous at first, but a clue, and this is kind of tricky, but a clue that you're feeling shame is if it's something that feels like mentally, when you start to think about it, you go, ah. So a good clue into where you might be feeling shame is notice where and when you procrastinate, where and when you might overeat or numb or scroll on social media for too long. Too long is subjective, but I'm talking about it here as a form of numbing out or checking out, where it doesn't feel very good. It feels kind of compulsive, and it feels like you're using it to avoid something else. So things like procrastinating and avoiding are kind of our brain's tactics to protect us from the pain of feeling shame. So that's a really good way to get onto yourself. A lot of times I see it in housework for myself. Like, I'll see a mess, and then I'll make a plan to clean it up. Like, I'm talking about organizing stuff, like decluttering the art studio or my papers, because I'm a huge writer and I've just got piles of papers and shit. And I'll make a plan to clean it, and then all of a sudden, like, there's a good reason that I didn't do it today, and I'm not going to do it tomorrow, and I put it in my calendar and I still avoided it. And so right there, it's like, there's got to be some shame under here. And lo, there is. The procrastinating and the avoiding showed me that I was shaming myself about the abilities that I had. And I was saying all these unhelpful thoughts about, like, you're this old, you're an adult, you should know how to do this. Shoulds are a really great, useless fucking thing too. They really help show you where there's shame. And it's cool. They sound like like shut that shit up. If you're shitting yourself, you're probably shaming yourself about something. And like I said, it can seem so innocent and innocuous. But really get curious about that stuff, and then let that shit go as best you can. And the first step is always in becoming aware of it. And then have your own back. So I'm not asking you to go into this unarmed. Like, go into it with loving kindness for yourself, for your value. And if you don't believe in it yet, borrow mine. I believe you're totally valuable and worth it, and that shame shit has no business slowing you down or making you feel shitty. So just notice it, and then you can start to peel away, like, okay, well, what could I think instead that's not so harsh, that's not so shaming? Like, for me, it's like, well, I'm just learning it. I mean, obviously I'm not going to be a great housekeeper, because I don't remember it being modeled really well for me, and I was a teenage runaway, and I was like a punk rock squatter chick for a long time. I was just sort of this wild animal, drinking and using drugs for 16 years. And so, yeah, it's going to take some time to, like, feel a little more domesticated, or like I know how to situate my home in ways that make sense for me, or that I know how to schedule things. So there can be some kindness there. And again, it's not that you're letting yourself off the hook. It's not so much like, well, loving kindness and I never have to clean again, or whatever your thing is. But it's just like, shame isn't going to get me where I want to go. So if I can approach it lovingly, then I can start to think of a plan that involves baby steps, or at least telling myself kind things while I learn this new skill or while I practice this better habit. So that's what I want you to work on. I'd like you to just take, for like the actionable step, I want you to just resolve that shame has no use for you, at least for the next few days, at least for the duration of this exercise. And then I want you to get curious about your life and notice any clues or hints that you might be shaming yourself about something. And then I'd like you to just take a look at that, maybe write down in a journal or on a scrap of paper what the specific shaming thought is, if you can pinpoint it. And then I want you to craft a statement that feels a little better than that and is kinder. And imagine you were talking to someone you really loved, or like a little kid. Like imagine something you could start telling yourself that isn't so harsh and shamey. And I'm trying to remember if there was another piece of this. Ooh, yes, there is. So to go along with this, so practice that stuff. And then also, I'm calling you out on a specific issue where I'm seeing this a lot with clients where my people, and I've done this to myself too, are preemptively like shaming ourselves for something that's actually a gift or a benefit to the world, or that people like or enjoy. So I want you to look at if there's something that's kind of calling to you, or that feels like you'd really like to do it more. I'm talking about your art. I'm talking about your love of nature, your witchiness, your wanting to read tarot in your coaching sessions, like that you use crystals to figure out if it's a yes or a no, like whatever that like weird thing is that you're making yourself bad for. I want you to just like see if you can test it. And what I mean by that is like find a safe baby step to sort of let the cat out of the bag with that thing and prove to yourself that it's not something to be ashamed of. And I want to be really clear here. I'm not saying that anyone's outside validation proves shame or not. Like if you said it to the wrong person and they were like, "Oh, you're a freaky weirdo. You should be ashamed of yourself." That isn't like the proof that that what you have is shameful. What I'm asking you to do is like just try it with someone safe, because my premise is that it's a good thing and that it wants to be let out, and that actually if you find the right people to share it with, you're going to start to see it as the gift that it is. So my thing with tarot is a perfect example where I was like preemptively shaming myself. And yes, there are people out there who would say this was bad or this was weird or they don't like it, and that's okay. Those aren't my people. So I'm not asking you to like get proof from other people that you're good, but in a way you can get proof that it is good, because I bet that if you let this out to someone that you love or someone who has your back, you're going to find instant like, yes, more of that, please. As soon as I started to share about this, I have had more business, more interest, more support than I ever thought possible. And this is just the beginning. So I want to challenge you to try to reveal a bit more of yourself that maybe you've been hiding out of shame, and see what happens. And I predict only good things and always only better and better things when you have the courage to do this kind of stuff. So thanks for being here, and I will see you Saturday for some more stuff about rigorous honesty. But in the meantime, thanks so much for being here. Have a kick-ass week, and let me know how this goes if you choose to take on this challenge. If you do indeed try it, let me know how it went. All right, take care. Bye.